make reference to showing out for our kids and holding your kid accountable, let's talk about the parent-teacher conference in 7th grade. Let's be clear about that. I got this bad report for my son, and I wanted to understand the nature of the situation. I didn't want to get just a part of the story. If I'm going to get bad news or good news, I want all of it at the same time. I don't want to get it in trickles and in pieces. I wanted it all. And since I had not heard it from him, I wanted to get it from the source. So I got the teacher. So I scheduled this conference before school starts. Middle school starts a little later than high school. And so after I heard from all the teachers, I told the coach, I said, go get him. He comes in and he goes, oh, mommy. I said, oh no, have a seat, son. Let's talk about it. And I walked around the room and repeated everything in summation of what the teachers had said. I hadn't written anything down, but I think I pretty much had it pretty much perfect as to what they said. I think they were even amazed at that. But I think the piece that was most important was that I came in and held him accountable. They weren't used to that. That's a problem. Teachers should be used to parents coming in and holding their students accountable. The student is the person that didn't do the work. There are going to be some off occasions where you run into one bad apple, a teacher where they didn't grade the work, or they didn't grade it in a timely manner, or they graded it wrong, or they made a mistake, an honest mistake in the grade book. They made, put in a 60 when they meant to put an 80, the keystrokes wrong. But overall, nobody's wronged your kid. So what has the child and what kind of corrections are being put in place? So in this conversation, I told him, I said, take his phone when he gets off the bus. If I need him, I will come over here. I'm not around the corner. I'll drive right over here if I need something from him. I said, number 2, we're going to make sure that we get all of our work done in class. If there's homework, we're going to take care of that before we do any sports. And I turned and looked at the coach. And then I wanted to let him know that I fully support them. I love him. And I fully support you. But I really fully support them. Because they're here to support me in educating you. I don't teach social studies. I need that person to do their whole job. I don't teach science. I need that person to do their whole job. I don't like teaching English. I need that person to do their whole job. Now, me and the math teacher can fight over the job. But I need them to do their job. I need them not to emotionally quit on you. They're human beings too. And they don't want to drive to work and struggle with you every day. So do your job so they can love doing their job. And here's what I told them at the end. This was my clutch. This was my ace in my pocket. This was my ace that I pulled out of my pocket and I put on the table for him. I said, let me be clear about something, sir. I'm a teacher. I do this with other people's kids. And it's embarrassing for the teacher's kid to act this way when you know my struggle with other people's kids. That's number 1. I said, but I want to be honest with you. It's not totally the end of it. I said, your sister didn't leave any scorched earth here. She left a very palatable experience where people loved her. So they'll in turn give you grace because of who she is. I said, so if she wasn't a good student, I wouldn't even be mentioning her name in this room. I said, but these people love her. 3 of these people were her teachers. So there's no shot that you're acting this way with them, but your sister would have a fit. So when I shared who she was, they lit up, the light bulb came on, they made the connection, and they were like, oh my gosh, and then they were like, oh my goodness. I said, so they thought I looked familiar, but now they know me for real. But I never came up here for this. Sir, don't ever make me come under these circumstances again. You've embarrassed me and your sister. I made it really plain that this is not what we do. We get our work done. We get it done in a timely manner. We make each other proud. And we go on about our business. That's what we do. We have a family standard on this thing. And when he listened to what I had to say about it, then he said, okay, now he had taken his education seriously all over to that point. And it wasn't he was goofing off. He was being a teenage boy going through puberty, and that's fine. But this is not the time for that in the classroom. Between the hours of 9 and 4, I need your full and undivided attention. I got things I need you to do. And because of that, I didn't get to have him play basketball this year. That year, I was so sad. And this is somebody who really can play basketball. He couldn't be he couldn't play. He played football, but he couldn't play basketball because he had cut up by the time it was time to do trials. He had cut up, and I was super sad because there's no shot that you should have done that to the point where now we can't have our fun. Now you got me on punishment. Now I'm upset as a mom. So we had that conversation. We had it where he understood. I got great performance after that. I got many good, nice notes after that, in addition to secretly P.S. tell your daughter we said, hey, because again, there has to be that accountability. And once they knew what angle I was coming from, and they had full licensure to take care of their business, they knew then that, hey, she's not going to put up with that from him. So y'all need to figure out what y'all are going to have it happen. Because if I come back, and if you fail in a class or any of those things, that's not to be tolerated. It's just not. It's not what we do. Parents have to set a standard. Make up one. You don't know what your standards are? Make up one. The goal is a B. Boom. That's it. Put it out there. Kids rise to the standards you set. Get out there. A B. You can't make lower than a B. That was my standard. And I was specific. You can't make lower than a B in these classes right here. You have to have an A in these classes right here. That was it. No C's. No C's. Yeah. You have to make an A in science, math, social studies, and any electives you took. English, I was going to let you slide with a B because it was a lot of reading, a lot of writing. They surprised me. They took the flip. They wanted a broker or trade. They took the A in English. They wanted to get the B in math. What? I was nervous as a wreck. So what do you mean? But again, they were thinking they brokered a deal. They took responsibility and ownership and decided if I negotiate with her, and if I put the standard high, and we get the B, then I'm happy, I'm pleased. But you first have to prove to yourself you can do it, and you can't quit until you try. And that is the standard. It has to be the norm. And we don't hang out with people who don't have those same type of educational tendencies. Let me give you a story. She was playing basketball in high school. She was a freshman on varsity. That's a skill set. But she got to my educational alma mater, my educational high school, my place of advancing my high school. And personality-wise, this young lady was like, woo, like a lot. Like, oh my gosh, like, so she found out this way. So this is what happened. The young lady was telling her mother, oh my gosh, I have an 88. This is ridiculous. I can't believe I just have an 88 or 89. She was really close to an 8. She says, this is ridiculous. I am going to have to email my teacher. And when we got in the car, my daughter says, I did not know she was that smart. I said, so we're judging people? She goes, but the way she talks about other things. I said, so we're judging people? I said, this is a hub of greatness. I expect everybody to walk these halls to be great. Because this is a hub of greatness. I came out of this same hub, and the standard was then very clear. We, as women of color, had to exceed because we were already judged to be low. And so she just said, I just didn't expect that. That young lady now has graduated from high school, at the top of her class, graduated with her bachelor's at the top of that class, and then has since graduated from law school at the top of that class. And is still excelling. We have got to set a standard. We've got to hold fast and tight to that standard, because that standard is what gets us out of bondage. It sets us free. It gives us choices. It gives us a place of understanding and control. It gives us the opportunity to have a voice. And that voice gives us a place of promise. You cannot be the parent who comes up and curses out the teacher and thinks everything is going to be fine. Your kid is going to fail. If they had a failing grade, they're going to continue to fail. So if you decide to go curse out the teacher, please make sure your kid does all of their work. Because all they're going to put in the grade book is whatever your kid has earned. And if they get a 69, your kid's going to get a 69. And no one's going to be able to talk to that and say, do you think, or what are you thinking? Is there anything they can do to pass? No, they cannot. Especially if you've not done everything you can do. Your kid has missed tutorials. Your kid has, anything that your kid has done, has not done, you're not going to have any compassion on your child because of what you did. And those are things we don't want to talk about. But it's true. It's the reality. Just because I'm putting it out there and I'm putting it in verbal out there for you to consume and hear. Let's talk about what the truth is. You're not going to have any friends and any help. So you've got to understand that this teacher does a job. But like I told some kids one day, they're human too. Inside of a building of 225 staff members and teachers, professional and paraprofessional staff members, you've got at least one person who's going to have their car repossessed. They're behind on their car note. One person is behind on their rent or house note. One person doesn't have any money in their account and their account is overdrawn. Several people have bad credit. Look at the odds. That's just a statistic thing. That's a mathematical moment. I might not know their names or who they are. Somebody's widowed, somebody's divorced, somebody's divorcing. Somebody's having trouble with their kids. They themselves might be suicidal, but they may have a suicidal kid. You don't know what that person who's standing in front of your kid is going through, so please treat them with compassion, sincerity, concern. You don't know what the administration is or is not doing. Don't let your kid be part of the problem. Don't you be part of that same problem. Do your jobs. Because here's what I need to understand. If you haven't done the work, there's nothing to discuss. When people request parent conferences with me, I said, before we meet, I would like to ask you a question. Did your kid do the work? No. Okay, there's nothing to meet about. Ask your kid, why didn't they do the work? I don't need to spend any more time on this because I've already asked your kid, why didn't they do the work? I asked that question already. And many teachers have done that. The general teacher is going to give you time in class to do the work. They try to figure out how to give you time to get it done in a situation where it's automatically greater for them to cut themselves a break. Then once you haven't done that, then when it's time to do grades, they've attempted to contact you and say your kid's not turning their work in, and therefore your kid is going to fail. And all we keep trying to do is add steps to the teacher. When you are the parent, you need to say, kid, you did not do your work. This F belongs to us. And if we fail, then we'll be in summer school. And that is it. I had a parent come to me at the end of the year, school year, 3 days before school was out. And I don't know what they told her that this was going to be a good conversation. I thought this was hilarious. I said, well, ma'am, I would like to know why we're having this conversation now. Well, I've never been contacted. I said, well, ma'am, I find that hard to believe. So she said, well, I didn't know he was failing. I didn't have a report card. I said, that you didn't? I said, okay, well, give me one moment. I'll be right back. And so I went and got a red folder off of my desk. And this red folder, I pulled it out, I opened it up, and I turned to line 7 on each page. And every 3-week progress report and 6-week report card, he had signed for them. And there was a copy of it, of the report card and progress report. I made a copy of what the district, what the school gave me. I had a copy of each one. And I had his signature that he had received each one. And I got a feeling that the AP hadn't counted on any of that. Kind of got that feeling. But I did. And I said, well, ma'am, he'll be repeating 7th grade unless you decide to give him to summer school because they had scheduled vacation. But my question for the kid was, why have you embarrassed your mother? Why is it that your mother hadn't got a single one of these documents? And then my question for the parent was, ma'am, did you go to school in Texas? She said you did. She did. I said, did you go to school in Harris County? She said you did. She did. I said, did you go to school in HISD? She said she did. I said, well, ma'am, nothing has changed. Why didn't you call the phone of the school in week 4 of school year to ask where your progress report was? I said, we get it on your phone. Did you get it on your phone, ma'am? You got to own this work. There's a difference between parenting and just having kids. Own the work. It's time to own the work. I had another parent conference one time in high school, and the parent wanted to have a conversation, so I had already told them the routine, what was going to happen. I guess they thought I was playing. I grabbed the backpack. I said the parent conference had started happening. I said, baby, give me your backpack. I opened the backpack. I got the stack of documents that was this tall in his backpack, and I sorted them out, geometry and everything else, and I kept sorting them out, geometry, everything else, and so the piles were even at the end. And I said, so I put the other bag in his backpack, and then I said, well, this is the pile of items from the entire year. I said, so I flipped it over because it was in chronological order. It had been filing perfectly. It was nice and neat. It was organized, everything. And so I said, well, these are the last 6 assignments. And I said, these are the zeros he has. These are the documents that he's not turned in. He's evidence of them right here in his backpack. I said, so where do we go from here? Because I want to know why we're here. That is the conversation that led me to say, if over the phone, I can tell you that they haven't done their work, we're not meeting. I'm not meeting after school. I'm not going to stop talking to you during a class where I have to stop another child's education. I'm not using my conference period for that. I'm not meeting after school. I'm not meeting before school. I'm not meeting during my duty-free lunch. Teachers are not doing those things anymore because you are the parent. They prepare lessons, lesson plans. They practice the lesson in CVPL, PLCs, where they have team meetings. They practiced the lessons in front of their peers. They have refined the lesson from first period to 7th period or 8th period. They have given the homework. They have graded the work. They have done the grade book. They have worked the averages. They have called the parent. They have emailed out everybody. And your kid still hasn't done their work. So I asked the lady, I said, ma'am, does this backpack go to your house every night? She says, yes. I said, did you buy this backpack? She says, yes, ma'am. I said, does this backpack belong to your house? She said, yes, ma'am. I said, does he go home with you every night? She says, yes, ma'am. I said, that's your son? She said, yes, ma'am. I said, I tell you what, I give you permission to go into the backpack you purchased with the son that is yours to the parent to check his work every night. I said, because have you not ever been in this backpack? Because this is all the work that he's not done all school year. She seemed rather surprised at my forwardness. Because nobody has time for this. Do our jobs. Everybody wants teachers to do their jobs. They're doing several people's jobs now. We're counseling. We're parenting. We're forging grades because nobody wants the kids to fail. We want to be participants in the graduation rate. We're being expected to do that. We don't want too many people to fail because then it's too much. So we need another hand on deck. We need the parent. And parent, bring your kid and put their hand on deck. And bring some other family members if you need to help keep all the hands on deck. Because here's the issue. Again, you didn't say that the teachers were standing outside and they were not educating the kids. You did not say that when they got in the classroom they were coloring with coloring books and markers and matte pencils and things of that nature. You said they were teaching and they were teaching too fast, or they were teaching too low, or they were teaching. Every sentence of complaint did have teaching in the sentence. They might have been teaching to your liking. They might not have been teaching to your understanding. But there was teaching going on. And since there was, I mean, there was some work due from your kid. So where is it? Where is it? Where is the work that we requested that your student turn in? We've made it easy. We put it on an electronic format. We've asked you to turn it in electronically. We even let you use your phone to turn it in some cases. So where is the work? We shortened it. We made it 2 or 3 questions, which is not, specifically in a math class, enough to understand if your kid mastered the concept. You get 1 or 2 of those wrong and you still have an F. So when we give you 10 or 20 problems to get you a full capacity to understand, it's like when you started learning by 19, 20, you can go back to 1, 2, and 3. Oh, but you got to have some work ethic for that. So I want us to get to a place where we understand how to make this change. We started out with all things being equal. All things being equal means that we have the same curriculum with the same testing standards. And let's talk about that for a second. That means that the state of Texas does not send out a different test to zip code 77401, which actually houses the school that happens to graduate the highest number of National Merit scholars every year. They don't send out a different STAR test to that team than they do to 77088 or 77016. This test is the same. And believe it or not, in Texas, the STAR score minimum is 20 questions out of 54. That ain't even a passing grade in a regular classroom. It's 38%. So I'm trying to understand if we're going to be honest with ourselves, what are we selling? So if you're telling me that we can say that you've approached mastery and 38% of the material is passed, and we'll give you credit for the course, then we got a good deal. Now, mind you, I just want to put a little star right here and let you know that technically speaking, if you do not pass that test, you're not supposed to have credit for the class. But we know that's not happening either. We'll come back to that shortly. Let's give that some time to simmer and marinate. Now, there's no separate test. So 77401, 77375, 77396, 77088, they're all getting the same test. The San Antonio, Dallas, Grand Prairie, Galveston, Austin, Lubbock, Midland, Odessa, the Rio Grande Valley, Lake Jackson, whatever other city you can name in Texas, they're all getting the same test. So when you're getting the same test, you have the same curriculum, and then you're given the same concept of the federal government says no child left behind, which means we have some educational standards by which we have to govern our educational policies, and those are checked. And then there's money associated with us getting those funds based on how we are governing ourselves in the educational environment. So with that being said, What are we doing? What makes a difference with a few miles between zip codes where we can't produce a passing set of students who can get 20 questions right? And again, as parents, we need to be worried about the right thing. We can't continue to be worried about the wrong thing. And by wrong thing, I mean you're focused on what the teacher did. Let's get focused on what the kid did not and what you did not do. What didn't you do as a parent? What didn't they do as a kid? What is the standard? Did you even know they were testing today? Did you know that? What are you doing? Did you know they had missing assignments in the grade book? The automated system notifies you at 4:02 a.m. Ooh, how do I know that? Because I have a kid. Now, he's in college now, so I don't get those alerts anymore. However, at 4:02 every morning, I used to get an email that said, he has a missing assignment. And I'm like, screenshot, text message, excuse me, fix this. And I went so far as to let him know I can walk around all day with you. I have plenty of days I can take off and walk around all day with you today so that we get our work done and I can ask the questions I want to ask and get the teacher's attention for myself. No, ma'am, that'll be okay. Well, then don't let us have this conversation anymore. Be the parent, the adult, the one in charge, the one who pays the phone bill, the one who puts gas in those trucks and cars, pays that insurance. Be the parent. So you want to ask the teacher. You're not looking for that person to tell you what is going on with your kid when it's who sleeps at your house every night. You should know. Teachers know your business, by the way. In case you didn't know, teachers know all your business. They definitely know all your business. So please and thank you on that. We know your business. So please do that for us. Keep that under wraps. Okay. If we're not going to take a stand for our kids as parents, how do we expect others to do the same? If we're not going to set a standard, then how do we expect them to get educated and be a reckoning force or a force to be reckoned within the world? How do we expect them to achieve their dreams, keep their self-esteem intact, if we do not educate them and help them to become educated at a level that we can help support? How does that happen? We can't get in front of the building, drop them off, close our fingers, cross our fingers, and close our eyes and say, hey, good luck in there. That's not how it works. And do that every day of high school. At 740 something days that we can't afford to do that. We can't afford to do that. 740 something days, 742 days is how many days we get them from 9th grade to 12th grade. We cannot sit outside the building, close our eyes and cross our fingers and hope it works out. We got to get our jersey on and get into the game. Put me in, coach. Put me in. You have got to be part of the solution that says, I am going to put a successful, work ethic having, productive person into the world that I can be able to say, hey, listen, you got it. They got this. You can't be, oh, I don't know. That's not a thing. When your question is, when am I going to use this? My question is for you, is you might want to know to have it than not need it. Than need it and not have it. There's a post I saw recently that said, oh, we taught that. You were asleep. It was in response to, I wasn't taught that in school. No, we taught that. You were talking. We taught that. You were skipping. We taught that. There's a reason the math teacher runs in on day one, hair on fire, going, "Oh my gosh, class, we're already behind it. Like, this is day one." Like, we found out over the summer what you didn't know. And, ooh, that was disturbing. They come in with an urgency and a zeal because they want you to have it. Do you know how frustrating it is when I coach teachers and they are like, "Oh, they can't get that. Let's not teach that part. They don't." Wait, whoa. Oh, no. But you'll never know they didn't teach it because you're not looking at the curriculum, the homework. You don't remember it because you didn't go to class and you're not trying to help. But I go right after and go, "No, no, no. We're going to teach that." Because in particular zip codes, there's high mobility. So if you let them leave your school and go to the next neighboring school and they're on that topic, your kid's not going to know. When you decide to move your kids, make sure you have transfer grades to go with them. We need that. Else your kid starts out with being exempt, but that first grade can plummet them to an F and they will be responsible for that because they were on property for that process. Okay? I want you to be successful. I want your kids to be successful. Those people who help parents, I want you to be successful in helping them, so that's teachers, administrators, district personnel. But it all starts with, how do we get our parents engaged? Because that's always the biggest question. But here's the deal, whether they ever come on your property or not, your parent engagement gonna come in your class averages. Because keep in mind that just because they're not engaged at school, that's not the temperature check. Your class averages are. Look at the class engagement. If your child is failing, that means you're not only not engaged in school here presently, you're not engaged at your home either. That is your report card. When I wrote the book, Are You Ready for Ninth Grade Again? It was because I realized that every parent's high school experience was not as good as mine was. Some of it was absolutely terrible. And there was no way I could have imagined that was a thing until I saw it with my very own eyes. I was like, oh, whoa. You're in whatever grade your kid is in. They're in third grade, you're in third grade. Everything that happens in your third grade life is going to come back to your remembrance, just like that. So likewise, high school, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, first days of school, last days of school, the time when you had an embarrassing moment, the time when you had a proud moment, the time you got embarrassed in front of the class, if your parents divorced, if you all were homeless for some reason, if you all moved, changed schools, right when grades were going to break, right when your rank was going to take place, your parent didn't know anything about that, but you got affected by their decisions, and that happened to you, and now you're in the presence of your kid thinking, this happened to me at this time, OMG, I can't make it. That triggers your life. Think about it. Not think about it, but see what I'm saying? Consider what I'm saying to you. So there are times when our kids are dealing with parents who are not emotionally, mentally present, all physically there, but emotionally, mentally not present because they're thinking, man, whew. Wow. Okay? So you've got to understand how to help them with that. But a failing kid, that is an indicator that there's not a present parent. They're not present. And I'm not going to say their high school reflection caused them this, but that's part of it. That's an element. So keep that in mind. I'm going to ask you to cut them in slack, change your rules, ways. No, I just want you to understand that's an element. Keep in mind that's an element. I had a young lady in one of my classes, and we were I was called to a parent conference, which is unusual because normally I call a parent conference. And so, of course, for me to be called to a parent conference about a kid was pretty much profound, and everybody was confused like I was. So I get to the parent conference, and I said, why are we here? So we go around the room, and I opted to be last because I wanted to hear what the problem was. I said, what is going on? And so they were having this problem with this young lady, personality. I didn't hear much about grades. A couple of items missing, but not alarming. Not like, oh my gosh, we're going to have a catastrophe here. But when I got to my turn, I said, sir, who are you? And he said, I'm the uncle. I said, by marriage or by birth? He said, by marriage. I said, well, where is the aunt? Your wife. Well, she's at work. Feeling some type of way about this. And so he says, I said, well, sir, where's her mother? Well, she passed away this summer. I said, that just voided everything that just happened in this meeting. Everything that we just talked about is now null and void. And I went on to say a few more things, but I let the group know. I said, in English class, you got to understand that it's fresh. Sir, number one, you should have let our guidance counselor and AP know that was your family situation and your new family dynamics, because we need to be on alert for things that may change and trigger her emotionally. We should have been told. Parents don't know that. And new parents definitely don't know that. As far as I'm concerned, they're new parents. They're auntie and uncle. That's the jazzy group. You can do what you want. You come and go, you please. You buy gifts, drop off packages, break rules, get people out of trouble. But you parenting every day, that's something different. Auntie, uncle, and uncle out the window. I said, every year you need to let the people know this is what happens and how to handle this, who her go-to people, who is your person on campus, who's her go-to person. I said, so we're going to establish that today, right here, right now. But here's where we went with that. Keep in mind that she was sitting next to me because that's where she chose to sit. I did not realize I was already her on-campus advocate. So what I said next was, number one, we should have been told. I should have been notified. Number two, English class, when you all are reading things that have mothers in it, she withdraws. It's so powerful that you should have felt it. The English teacher at this point holds her head down because she's missed it. She'd attributed it to a whole other set of behaviors that she wasn't aware of. But now that I've said it, then it brings it to her attention. Then she says, I get it now. I said, but when she gets to that place, I want y'all to develop a signal, some eye contact, and I want you to come to my room with your work, and I want you to go ahead and be able to do your work in my room. And then with the before the bell rings, you'll come toddling back around it, drop off your work, get your things, and then we'll check out for the day. Everybody on the same sheet of music, same page, understood? Yes. I said, but we have to know, because we're of the line of defense. We spent 9 hours with these kids. We didn't know what's going on. There are families who keep those things secret, under lock and key. I asked the lady directly, I said, why didn't you tell me? She said she didn't know how to say it without crying. She was trying to get her strength together. I said, that's not how you build your strength and stamina. Sometimes you have to become weak to then build up to the strength, and you need to have people around you to help you. Parenting needs that as well. That's why teachers help them with that. But they got to know they can come. What does it look like when you do those types of conferences? I gave you an example of that, and I just given you another. So here's what I need you to understand. There has to be that part. Kids are going to find out. And then there's always somebody who can find stuff out. 7th grade, I'm teaching. William is my student. I noticed a change in his behavior. He was first answer questions, a Johnny on the spot, get it right every time. Here we go. It's my fuel. I'm like loving life right here. But all of a sudden he starts sleeping in class. Wait a minute, excuse me, I need some help. Brand new teacher. I don't want to make any waves. I'm trying to keep my wits about me. Holy Spirit says, go to Ms. Bingham. Okay, Ms. Bingham is the counselor. Ms. Bingham, help me find out what's going on with William. She takes William. William comes back. I go in the hall. Grandmother is in the hospital. Got it. That would make sense. He spent the night at the hospital, be sleepy. I understand. No problem. No problem. Okay, William, I'll work a deal with you. Here's the work. You get started while you're awake. And then if you need to nod off, I understand. No problem. Here we go. A week or two later, we're up. We're spry. We're active, docile, withdrawn. But we're up. We're active. He turns his binder over. We've got the 3-inch. We're an Avid campus. We've got the 3-inch clear view, insert your own front cover kind of binders. And I recognized the corner. All I needed to see was about this much of the corner and recognize it as a funeral program. I let Miss Bingham know Miss Bingham's grandmother has passed away. Please pull him in and y'all kind of conversate about that. Have a conversation about where we are with that. I want you to converse. I know conversation is not a word. That's why I corrected it. Thank you for your grace. I want you all to converse about how he's feeling. She said, of course, that's what I'll do. He pulls me to the hallway now and says, thank you. I said, you're welcome. I know what it's like to lose a grandmother at 12. I know that feeling. So I'm all in to help you to get where you need to be. But we need to know these things. It would have been helpful if Mom had said, listen, I need your help. This is where we are. But she wasn't thinking because she's moving she's moving 90 to nothing. She's moving real fast. So she just got to do what she can think to do. But we going to take care of him over here. And I shared it with my partners, his teachers. I shared it with them and said he's underwater right now. He's got a lot going on. His grandmother's in the hospital, so he's not going to be his normal self. Now grandmother has passed away. He's not going to be his normal self. And let's offer him what we can. He didn't share it with me, but I did see the corner of the program, and I know that's what that is. I'm very knowledgeable about that. And so you've got to be there. Parents, you've got to let us know what we need to know so we can do our very best us. You've got to prompt your kids to be their very best to them. And when they're going to have those bad days, hey, I check the temperature of kids when I have classes. I check the temperature of the kids when they walk in. And if your face is partly cloudy, you're going to have to step over to the left. Park it right here. If I got kids coming this way, and I'm fist bumping, and here's the door, and we going in, and I don't see you, I pull you over right here. Almost like you're getting a parking ticket, a speeding ticket. Pull it over right here. Stand right here. And you guys get your warm-up done, get your stuff ready, sharpen your pencils, get it all under control. We're going to spend a couple of minutes together because I need a lot of your countenance to shine so we know what we're going to do for the day. I need you to be ready to learn. Now, we talked about it the day before and you still looking the same way, then I might let you go with that one because we talked about it yesterday. I might check with you. Is it any better? Are we headed toward? Do I need to get involved? Who did it? If I can't say who did it and you smile, then we got to pull it over. Pull it over. I need to know. Because that's going to interrupt what I do best. And they know that. So I want you to have that understanding of what we do, how we do, what we need to be doing. Particularly from the parental role. Because that's the team member we're missing. It's guaranteed that's the team member we're missing. We need you. We need you all in 100%. And we need to know what you need us to do. So we'll talk about some more things that's going to help us. We definitely want you to be able to be on board with us. We got to have you on our team. That's a stakeholder that's been absent for a while, been kind of hanging back. We got you to have you on the table, present at the table.